Welcome to Social Jumpstart, the cable television show about social media. I'm Mike Wolpert, and our guest this week, Lieutenant Ralph Pata. He's a blogger at donutdiaries.net and a Bay Area police officer. So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Ralph. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for finding me, I guess.
Thanks for finding you.
Yeah.
And we met actually at a tweet up.
Yeah, my first.
Oh, you're first.
Yeah.
So you do social media for local police department. You are a blogger. I'm glad that donutdiaries.net is in fact a cop's blog.
Yeah.
And tell me how you got started in that. How did this begin?
Well, I guess really the stage was set just really years of law enforcement experience built into me. And I'm kind of a wise guy as far as being a little on the irreverent side, which when you put the two together and then you put a computer in front of me or a laptop, sometimes spells trouble, but usually comes out entertaining. So I was asked actually by my department's social media guru, Dan Fink, who I think you met as well,
Great.
to try to put a little something together. And we opened it up to the whole department, which was a great thing. I mean, that's one of the best things about where I work is that, we don't limit ourselves. So we go out to everybody. And people started reading it, and who would have thought that people would be interested in this stuff? But here I am. People
are interested in interesting things, and really, what does the average citizen know about cop life?
Yeah, well,
nothing.
I tell my friends, there's a reason why cop shows are on TV. It's because it's a great job. I mean, it's a great job. It's exciting, and equally important, the personalities built into it. So the Barney Millers of when you and I were growing up,
Sure.
right? Well, there's a certain amount of that built into this job. Their characters are unique because there really are unique characters in our business.
And so you've used your blog to kind of shine a little light on what goes on behind the scenes, in your head, in your department.
Yeah. In my family, I mean, my dad was a carabinieri in Italy, so that's the Italian version of a like their national police.
Right.
And so here I am years later, and my dad and I, we talk all the time. And my brother's a dispatcher where I work. And so there's the three of us that somehow ended up in this business, and we apply kind of our lessons in life. And so I drag them into it, and they always know. I always warn them ahead of time that they're in it. But I drag them into it, and it's entertaining because my family's entertaining. So the whole thing ends up working out pretty well. And Marin County is a great place to have some experiences in law enforcement.
Right. And as a law enforcement, as the social media voice at times of a law enforcement agency, we've been hearing for decades since I was a kid about community policing.
Right.
And so the old cop walking the beat, not so much reality anymore, but can you talk a little bit about how social media really connects you to the community in law enforcement?
Right. So in the old days, when my dad was a cop in Italy, he used to ride a bicycle around to deliver messages to different homes because back he patrolled an area of Italy that was not super populated and didn't have like a lot of phone lines and things like that. You'd have to go to like the center of town to get your information. Mm-hmm. So really, when you look at what we're doing, we're just really reinventing what has been around for a long time. Community policing really is plugging into your community and bringing them along with you as far as what's going on in their neighborhoods. So for us, instead of putting, stapling flyers to telephone poles, what we've done now is we've recognized that if you have a smartphone, even if you don't have a smartphone, you can get the message. And we have a lot of messages that we like to deliver. And it's not just look out for the bad guy as much as it is, hey, come on down to the park because we're having a fundraiser or a drive or something for somebody. So social media has become, I mean, we are just, I think, scratching the surface of it. It's going to be, if it's big now, it'll be huge in the next generation of cops to come. So what we're seeing is instead of the man on the street corner and you walking up and asking him, hey, what's going on? And the standard line used to be nothing. Now we've decided, hey, look, these are our taxpayers, these are our customers, and they're a lot smarter, I think, than we ever thought people were. And it's not to denigrate people, it's just the fact that we finally figured it out that, we can't have this little kingdom, this little place where we just keep all the secrets to ourselves. So now we go out to people, and the only way we solve crimes is really by going out to folks and saying, hey, we need your help. And admitting that we need help from people has been a huge part of what's made us successful. And social media is that, it's that connection between us and in our community.
So, and I'm actually a member of your community. So the idea that most people are the bad guys, clearly isn't true. But most of the community gets their idea of what law enforcement is going back to, the Barney Miller days, or even back to the Andy Griffith days, or now Law and Order and all these cop shows. Right. So maybe there's a little bit of that, but perhaps not quite as glamorous and not as many shootouts.
Right. No, exactly. But for example, one of the things that I can recall a case I was testifying on. It took me 20 minutes to teach the jury the difference between what you see on CSI and what happens in the real world. And you think about that. Think about the impact of media at large, and then the huge benefit of social media being able to come in and clean that up just a little bit. Because let's face it, you need a 1 hour package for your television show that's interesting, that brings people into the characters and things like that. While that does happen, it happens in the lifetime of a cop. It doesn't happen in an hour.
Right.
So the nice thing about social media, and what I try to do with my blogs is show, look, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. Right. I've done the cliche. I've been married and divorced. I'm a single dad. I've got all this other stuff going on, and I connect up with my dad a little bit, and we talk business, and my brother. So I want people to know that we are a part of the community. We are your community, actually.
Right. And so have you found the response? I know in my circle, the response seems to be positive. You guys seem to be more accessible. Being at a Marin County tweet up and having a solid police presence, not in uniform, having fun. Now all of a sudden you're actually part of our community.
Yeah, look, never in a million years did I'd ever think I would be here. I came into the business when, when we had that, nothing to see here, move along kind of attitude, and we're right, you're wrong, just trust us kind of thing. And it's not that we necessarily have. There's a little bit of indoctrination that used to happen in the academies about how we used to do business. Well, that's completely changed. It's totally different now, especially seeing that a lot of the folks coming out of the academies and coming into law enforcement are higher educated. It used to be all you needed was a driver's license and a high school diploma to get into the business. Well, we've got guys now with master's degrees. We had a couple guys with PhDs. We've got smarter. There's different kinds of smart. There's street smart, and then there's an academic smart. Well, we've got the academic side of it that we're starting to really nail down. And then you just become street smart by virtue of the job that you do. So never in a million years, to get back, I guess, really to what you were saying, did I ever expect when I was doing a search warrant for a narcotics case with my big brick cell phone. Remember the brick cell phones?
Oh, those were good.
It was like a car battery with a phone attached to it.
Yes.
Never did I think that would evolve to what we're doing now. To where there's computer crimes task forces and there's all this other stuff going on, and that much less I would be at a tweet up, for God's sakes. I never.
But people perhaps are more willing to come forward. It's certainly easier to capture data or capture evidence isn't right. But if you're at the scene of a crime, it's a lot more likely that you have an operable phone and can report something. So is there that kind of dialogue going on as well?
Right. So the department I work for and what's going to make social media huge for law enforcement, which would make it a huge benefit for the community, is that we are not requiring people necessarily to drive to the police station, walk down the stairs, wait in line to deliver the message you want to deliver. Now, what we're doing is we're allowing people to text in, tweet in, send information in that way, which, you're a busy guy, and you may not have the time or the desire to come to the police station for whatever reason. Not like the best people in the world like loiter around a police station. I figure some people are just getting out of jail or whatever.
Right.
So we're asking people, we used to ask people to, make a commitment, drive down, tell us what's going on, or call us and we'll come to your house and we'll hear what you have to say. Not super efficient. This is becoming a better and more efficient way of doing business. It's not the solve all at all. I mean, you still need to pound your beat. You still need to go out and do all those things. But this is turning out to be a good tool for us. And I think, there'll be bugs that we have to work out, and there certainly will be. There certainly are some downsides to it. But I think we'll eventually evolve and figure it out.
So police work is still police work, but as part of the community, as a citizen, I can more easily say, hey, wait a second. Yes, I understand dial 911 to report drunk drivers. Right. And I have done that because when somebody's that out of control on 101, better that they should get pulled over. But it's also the suspicions or really the knowledge. Hey, this guy in my neighborhood is up to XYZ. So what used to be kind of a closed society, us against them, you against us, I mean, that's far more transparent now.
Right. I mean, I don't think we ever really saw people as being the enemy as much as we like to keep our stuff close to our chest. We like to keep our cards that way. And there's really good reasons for that, is you don't want to impact or impair an investigation. Plus, you don't know who knows who in our community, especially from, in the Bay Area, let's say, 9 Bay Area counties that we have here. Still not that huge in comparison to other parts of the country that are massive, your LA markets and different places like that, New York.
Right.
So a lot of people know each other. I even find that with my Facebook. I'll look at my Facebook and I'll snoop and I'll look at friends of friends. And I mean, there's a pal of mine who's got a friend that, I sent to the joint. So my buddy, I had to unfriend him because I don't want those people to know what's going on in my personal life. It's not that I had a problem with my pal, but you just never know, And I mean, honestly, I'm a rookie to social media, so I'm getting into it.
Do you have a sense yet throughout your organization, throughout Bay Area police organizations, maybe across the country, how is the embracing of this connectivity with the customer? I like the way you put that, with the customer, the citizens. How's that adoption? Are people fighting it, uncomfortable?
Right. Well, like any place, you're going to get folks that rely on those that are strongest in those areas to take care of most of the business. If you look at the website for my organization or the tweets that come out of my organization, you'll see that we're pretty strong in that department. We like doing it. We think it's the new thing to do. And we don't do it just because it's new. We really feel that we actually are reaching our customers and serving them better, rather than waiting for them to get home and watch the 5 o'clock news. I mean, let's face it, the neighborhoods that we live in aren't those kind of neighborhoods that would necessarily make the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news in a market like this.
Right.
So it's an alternative. I think it's a step closer to what's really going on in our community. Now, the old school guys, I was an old school guy. I guess now I can look back and say, I guess I am an old school guy, after 27 years. When I first started, we hand wrote our police reports with pencils. Now we have mobile data terminals in our cars for getting our calls for service.
Right. What goes on in those cop cars? That's like there's more computing power in the average police car than sent the first Apollo mission up, is there?
It's a huge investment for us. But the best part about it is that it helps you get your mindset going. You can see the call come up on the screen. You can select on that call. From that moment where you selected on the call, you can access a map to how to get there. You can pull up background information on the people who you might be dealing with, like history location, to include a photograph of maybe the person if they had ever had a prior police contact. We have this huge amount of information, and it helps us close the deal better so that my head's in the game before I get there. Now, there used to be an argument that, your head should always be in the game and you should always be ready to go for anything and be prepared for anything. Right. Well, that's how cops drop dead at 60 and 65 years old. When you are constantly on a state of alert, and I'm not saying you should be in the state of red alert all the time. In that orange area, I think it actually helps you out. I think it actually saves you a little bit. And I think the more information you have, the better you really are. So for my department, we brought in cell phones into the cars. We brought in mobile data terminals, all of this stuff. It was a learning curve for us. It was a huge adjustment. But even the old school guys like me have figured it out, and it's great. I wish the gal that taught me typing in high school was still alive. I'd kiss her because I'm doing that now rather than writing my police reports.
Right.
But to get back to answering the question, the new guys love it. The older school guys, they like it. It's not a bad thing for them. And the best part about it for us is like on a Twitter kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can get information out fast. You can fire it out, and I subscribe to a lot of different police departments because everyone seems to be going that way. You get the information, hey, 4th between A and B is closed because of work or because of an investigation. Guess what? I'm not driving down that street.
Right.
So it's been helpful like that.
And then I've seen stuff that comes out of your department through Officer Dan that has been retweeted. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty quick way for people to kind of spread the word. Hey, don't go here, don't go there, or this is up.
Right.
And I even see it put to secondary and tertiary use in my neighborhood association, where thankfully our big worry is car break-ins.
Right.
And it's not even a big worry, but it's enough to get everybody riled up.
Right.
Because so the word gets spread pretty quick.
Yeah, you're informed.
We're informed to know, I'm grateful to live in a neighborhood where I don't always lock my car at night, but I'm also grateful to have the opportunity for people to give me feedback so I know, come on, grow up, lock your car.
Well, the cool thing about like the community in which we live in is that it's not just your neighborhood. All of our neighborhood groups have kind of figured it out, and they all have this thing. Used to be the Neighborhood Watch program, and this is the whole idea about reinventing ourselves. Used to be the Neighborhood Watch program where we would, somebody would go be on a walk, walking their dog, see something, call it in. Now it's tweeting it out to their neighborhood groups,
right,
or sending it into the police station, via email. We have as anonymous as you can be, email sites coming in. So it's just provided more opportunity for people to tell us what's going on. I mean, I'm not talking about people being, tattletales on their neighbor because their neighbor's got one marijuana plant growing in the backyard. It's the guy kind of who doesn't belong in the neighborhood, who you've never seen before, who's checking car doors.
Right. That's
the stuff we're interested, it's more of that stuff. And that's coming from the community because they're invested in their community.
Right.
So your neighborhood, you're better at policing your neighborhood probably than we are.
Oh, I am rapidly approaching curmudgeon-y old man status. There you go. The neighborhood cop. And there's 4 of us, but I know who lives in my neighborhood.
Right.
And I don't really have any problem. The older guys wouldn't necessarily go chat with 2 guys walking around at 10 o'clock at night, but I would. Hey, how you doing?
But on the other end of it, the older guys who wouldn't do that, they certainly have a tool now to be able to go in and send that information to us.
Right.
I mean, it used to be pick up the phone, call the business office number or whatever, or 911 to get the information in. You can do that. You can also send in a tweet. We don't necessarily have somebody sitting in front of a terminal waiting for the tweets to come in, but one of us is monitoring it. Somebody's monitoring it somehow. Not 24/7, but somebody might be. And we can take that information and we can call it in ourselves or make it like what we call beat information for the officer to look at in the day or so, or 2. So, naturally, emergencies need to come into 911, period. And if people don't have an opportunity to tweet or do that kind of stuff or email, well, then we certainly want people to send it by phone. It's just another tool. It's another thing that helps get us closer, I think, to our community.
Right. And it's working. And people feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about your blog. Okay. Because I love the whole community policing thing. Right. I'm probably rehabilitated myself after all these years in the neighborhood to be almost upstanding member of the community. But I do, I like the cops that I know in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I love that element where people now feel that it's okay. Growing up in New York City in the 70s, there were not a lot of halos on cops, and there were not a lot of halos on the punks in my neighborhood.
Sure.
My dad didn't know I was one of them, but it could be said that I was. Right. But that element of bringing the community together through social media is another level, is great. And working around the country, you monitor other police departments, so it's not just here in the Bay Area.
Oh no, yeah. And there's other officers. There's people from all walks of life in this business, in law enforcement, and even in the fire service, who have blogs, who post and things, and put it out there for people to get a little peek behind what it is that we do. You know, we drive our cars out to people's neighborhoods. We let people walk through them and things like that. But you really can't get a real good grasp of what it is that, that we do based on doing that, based on 5 minutes with somebody. Plus, what this does, I think what my blog does, is it gives people an opportunity to take their time over a cup of coffee. I encourage coffee, by the way.
You do?
Yes. To take a cup of coffee and sit down, and, it's like, it may not be like reading the paper, but it's certainly getting to know the people who you entrust your life with.
Right.
And finding out, well, what kind of guy or gal are they? And so I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Not everyone's convinced, I think, in my business. I think there's still some people that look at it like maybe you're saying too much and maybe you need to, cut back in this department or that department.
And the response to donutdiaries.net, because .com is actually a donut guy.
It's a donut guy, exactly. Yeah.
So donutdiaries.net, which is your blog, that response... Usually on the show, we talk to either technologists or people who are entrepreneurs, small, mid-sized business owners who use social media to give people a look under the hood, behind the scenes, and really connect with the customers. Right. Up until, spending a little time with you at a tweet up, it never occurred to me that philosophically it's the same thing. And by giving people that look through your blog, the response, you must get comments, you get talked to about it.
Yeah, actually it's been pretty cool. I actually got fan mail from somebody in Singapore, for God's sakes. I'm like, wow, how did it even get out there? And then so then I started looking at the, so then you become, I become obsessed with the analytics and looking at who's looking and things like that. And I know that a lot of it are, robots, which I'm not really sure. Maybe you can help me understand what the hell a robot is.
No, I think no robots are going to be reading Donut Diaries.
Okay,
these are all real people. Good, upstanding citizens.
So, all right, because I'm seeing these hits. I'm like, it reminded me of that movie, the movie with Gene Simmons. Was it Running Man or something like that? Right? So anyway, so it's interesting to see like where these people are coming from. I mean, the UK, China, Pakistan. I've got some folks, in Australia, Italy, where my family is. I know those are all my family, pretty much.
Right. So eight hits from Italy is that's your family going.
Exactly. Okay. So it's been an interesting experience for me. But to actually get fan mail and to have people, point at me at the tweet up, going, "Oh, you're that guy." It's kind of weird. Actually, I'm not used to that kind of attention, but it's kind of cool in its own way.
Yeah, I guess as the world continues to open and become more and more transparent, I suppose if we all look out for each other, in the ideal world,
right,
we are a big old neighborhood association.
Sure.
And if everybody can start kind of playing, in that area, then theoretically the world becomes a safer place.
Yeah.
It's easier to talk to. I'd be far more likely to connect with a cop who I know, even just from Twitter,
right,
and say, hey, this doesn't feel right, because maybe it's too petty.
Right.
Maybe I'm unsure. Maybe, I grew up, mind your business.
Sure. And I think what it also does is it makes you part of. Okay, so we may not necessarily live in the community we serve, but we're certainly part of it by putting ourselves out there a little bit, right?
Right.
And so. And then by exposing some of your little vulnerabilities to let people know that, hey, it's funny because I had a divorce that went just that way too, or I got a dad that used to do this business and he used to say the same things. You start seeing more common threads in who it is that we are and what it is that we do.
Right.
And I think that's really like the best part. I mean, isn't that really what community policing, everybody kind of has their own idea of what that's supposed to be. We changed the way we did business by putting our officers in a neighborhood for 6 months at a time. We thought, okay, well, the idea behind that is that you become familiar with the same face all the time.
Right.
Great idea, actually. But this takes it, I think, the next step.
Sure.
It's look. I'm not inviting people into dinner who I don't know or anything like that. I certainly sit down with people, have coffee with them, but I'm kind of limiting my life in a certain way and allowing them to see little parts of it here and there. And I think those little parts that I show actually maybe put a soul back into me, or that maybe somebody thought I didn't have. So I think that's the upside to it.
Yeah, puts a real approachable, friendly face on law enforcement.
Yeah.
Not a bad day's work.
Yeah, I love it. It's my middle of the night thing. Come home from work, sit on my couch. What am I going to write about today?
What are you going to write about today? Perfect. I love to see social media used in different ways, and community policing through social media is a different way. Yeah. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Sure. Lieutenant Ralph, the coffee aficionado, donut chomping, blogging police officer.
I walked away from donut chomping.
Oh, so I'm noticing. Okay, so those are more wistful memories.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Very nice. Lieutenant Dan, community policing through social media. I appreciate you being on the program today, Ralph, and it's been...
Right. And Dan's coming next, right?
And Dan's... Did I just say Lieutenant Dan?
You did, but that's cool, because he's next, isn't he?
That's pretty smooth. Yeah. We are having one of your fellow lieutenants on, and maybe we can get you guys to both come in and and be on the show.
There you go.
Uniform? I'll wear a tie if you wear a uniform.
Yes.
Sounds like a good idea.
There you go.
Very nice. Lieutenant Ralph Pata, a Bay Area police officer, coffee aficionado, occasional donut muncher, and blogger at donutdiaries.net. Thanks for watching another episode of Social Jumpstart, the cable television program about social media. We'll see you next time.